Brilliant. And the comment is pinned. As always, my biggest challenge to starting off any live. Hi deities, it's Monday the 22nd of June. Thank you very much for tuning in to episode 7 with goddess, model and blogger Clara Holmes, aka Rollin Funky. And I hope you'll also join me at 7 when I'm going to be talking to goddess Emily, aka Calderwood Illustrations. Clara is a model and blogger creating content about fashion, lifestyle, vegan cuisine and travel. Clara is also a public speaker and diversity advocate, focusing on body positivity and self-love. Clara lives with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and uses a wheelchair. EDS is a form of hypermobility syndrome, which is an inherited connective tissue disorder that causes chronic pain. Clara began her blog to create a space to share her experiences and passions and her journeys through life, and I've pinned the link to Clara's blog, Rollin Funky, in the comments section, so I do hope everyone will go and follow Clara if you're not following her already. In case this is your first time tuning in, I'm Ada. I create avant-garde spiritual kink, and my message is to harness the power of your inner warrior deity, recognizing the universe in yourself, whether that is a goddess, god, or non-binary spirit. And I create with a queer, sex, and body positive perspective on fetish and BDSM. We're gonna pretty much dive straight in today, but do please check out the links that I've put on the front page of my website, zanditon.com, and also all of the links that I've put below all of the videos that I have posted onto the YouTube channel as well, which is Zanditon Couture. And I very much hope I will see some of you deities this weekend for the Black Trans Lives Matter gathering this Saturday the 27th in Parliament Square in a safe, socially distanced way. This series will be coming to you every Monday from this account, Zanditon Couture, and then I share on YouTube and also on Fashion Unfucked. Quick warning, sometimes there is swearing and adult content, but without further ado, I'm very much hoping that Clara will join soon. Hello, gorgeous.
Hello, honey. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going to turn up my volume a bit more. Brilliant. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Here we are, like in this even weirder space than the rest of lockdown has been, because we at least, we knew what was going on at some point, whereas now we've sort of arrived at this period of time where no one knows what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, but it's interesting. But here we are creating content, trying to keep, positive and putting our magic into the world, right? So
yeah, exactly. Which I think is really important in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that you decided to start your blog whilst you were on a cruise. Just because I think that is the most fabulous, glamorous way to decide to do anything.
Yeah, it was a few years ago, and it literally, as the sun was setting, and as it was setting, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. It's like it was just calling to me. It was just like that moment. It was just me on that deck at that time, and the sun going down, and there's something about being on water on a ship. It's just kind of clarity and calming, and it was just like a really nice day, and I was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. It's a big step.
You let the universe speak to you in that moment.
Yeah, and it's definitely felt like someone was like, okay, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to do it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yay, we love that. I love that. What sparked your love of like glamour and fashion? Because, regardless of anything else, like not everyone like necessarily like loves fashion. So, you know, it's very individual for each person, like what draws you to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved fashion since I was like a young child. I remember watching like shows like The Clothes Show on BBC and stuff like that, and I was just like in awe. Um, you know, being that my grandparents are like Jamaican, they always had a sewing machine around. It was just really normal to go to like the material shop and buy material, and they used to like, you know, like freehand cut an outfit, and within hours you've got a new outfit. So I was very much into that, and I used to make like design and make little clothes for my Barbie out of old
Oh,
clothes.
love that. Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, at one point I was like, oh, you know, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to be a model. I want to, you know, I knew I wanted to, like, I loved fashion, and I always kind of experimented with things like growing up. I used to make chokers and sell them in the playground to
Oh my God, yes. This is so great. I love that. I absolutely did the same thing
oh,
as well. So I
fantastic.
totally relate to everything that you're
Yeah, and
saying.
hair bands. I used to get plain trainers, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna totally like jazz up your trainers," kind of thing. And I'd come, you know, I'd remove like I'll put bits and like anything that had like a bit of like stones or anything from like any like my mum's old clothes. I would always used to remove them, buttons. Yeah, like yeah. So I was very creative as a child, and so I've always had like a creative eye and loved fashion. You know, it's just yeah. I never would have imagined where I am now, kind of thing. Like, I just,
Really?
yeah,
Still? Even now?
even now, because like,
Yeah?
um, I realized how much work I had my own fashion show at like 17, and I realized how much work went into it. And I was like, maybe, you know, because if you're as a designer, you kind of design, and a lot of people, they outsource the making of the clothes, and to do both was so difficult. And I was like in a short amount of time, and I had about, I think it was like, the aim was 20, but I think only 18 went down the runway.
That's some tons anyway,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
like, you
And
know.
then I thought, oh my gosh, this is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, oh. And then, you know, I did try to pursue modeling, and then I was knocked back as well. So I was like,
Why were
okay.
you why were you knocked back at that? What age were you when that happened?
I was about 16, and I was very slim, and they said to me that I needed to lose weight. And I was like, I'm a size,
Oh gosh.
yeah, I'm, yeah,
Yeah.
like 5'10", 5'9.5", and I'm size 10. I'm like, lose weight. Like, I've got Jamaican background. They already told me how skinny I am already. Like, no, so I just kind of thought, okay, like
I'm so glad the modeling industry is changing
yeah, yeah, me too.
because I also remember that period of time and grew up in that time when it would be like you said, you know, people would be expected to be like 5'9" and above and like a size 8, which is just absolutely insane, like,
Yeah,
you know, ridiculous.
yeah,
And it's so encouraging to see how it's changing because and the rules that have come in about, you know, like you cannot make people starve
yeah,
just because of fashion.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's so yeah,
yeah.
it's just been
It
such
is
a
that they've done
sorry.
like yeah, no, it's definitely great that they have. But I still feel that there's still a long way to go though. But it's good that they are making steps, and they are slowly changing. So
But
that
at the same time, it's also doesn't help uh you know, someone like you or, you know, so many models I've known and friends who've gone through that horrible experience.
mm, yeah, and it really knocks your confidence. Like especially like 16, you know, you're already unsure about your body. You've already got your little hang-ups, and you know, and yeah, as I said, like coming from like the Caribbean, Jamaican background, like people in the Caribbean, like, you know, like for you to be that tall and that slim, they're like, you need to eat more foods. And I'm like, I eat a lot already. Like, you know, it's not that I don't eat. And anyone that knew me knew I eat. They knew I ate all the time. So it was
Yeah.
like, you know, I was like, there's no way I'm going to lose weight. And so I just kind of, at that point, I was just like, maybe it's just not for me, kind of thing. And in a way, I kind of went in myself as well. Um, you know, like body hang-ups and stuff like that. So yeah, I wasn't confident, and then that kind of just knocked my confidence even more. So I was like, well, I want to just do the designing and making clothes kind of side of things and see how that gets on. And I did that for a little while, more as a hobby, because I realized that I don't like working to deadlines as a designer.
Right.
So I was just like, so because I was like, I think the added pressure when you know you have to do it for like I kept making mistakes. Whereas when I'm just like, if I'm just doing it just because I could make something real quick. But then when it's like the pressure, I think it's just the pressure, and I just yeah.
It's such a like pressured system, fashion, and it definitely, like, having previously done ready to wear where I was outsourcing the stuff I was making to factories, and then now having sort of changed my business model to be more about being like a maker of, small amounts of things.
Yeah,
It's like I definitely understand, like, you know the pressure cooker of what it's like. And I definitely got to the point where I felt like, well, it's like being on a hamster wheel, and
mm,
the industry expects you to just keep going on this
yeah,
little wheel, and it's
yeah,
so hard to do that.
yeah,
So yeah, I completely relate to everything you're saying, and I do feel like, again, it's another aspect of the industry that is as well changing at the moment. It's so interesting how all of these um, things that we're talking about, like, experience them as being hard, and they are hard, and everyone is going. And in the past, whereas people just sort of like put their heads down and suffered for their art, I think it's really important that everyone now is like, but why? Like,
yeah,
why do we have to suffer so
yeah,
much
yeah.
for dresses? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, totally. And I think now more you kind of more thinking about wellness and not necessarily just about the output as well. Like you're also thinking about your own mental health as well. I think that's come to play a lot over the past I would say over the past few years. I think people are a bit more aware, a bit more mindful, and even just being mindful. I think there's certainly an element of that a bit more these days. But yeah, I do think that there's certain things that needs to change, and representation is like the biggest one for me. I think
Big thing, like, is that as being as so aspirational was just so damaging, because it really tied people's self-worth to a marketing message instead of recognizing and as a precious life.
yeah,
And also the confetti, like the frou-frou, the joy on top of that, like the cherry, what should be the cherry on the cake and the icing and the
yeah,
fun should be the fashion.
yeah,
Fashion should be that, not
yeah,
like this thing that like consumes people and and distorts our whole perception of ourselves.
yeah. I absolutely agree. I think like now with social media, I think even more so like with the space that we are all creating, that we can kind of vocalize our our thoughts and what's important to us. I think it's helping others. I think the power is kind of shifting a little bit away from them kind of dictating how we should feel through fashion, rather, and it's kind of moved to like spaces like this where we can sit here and discuss, and people can watch and they can learn,
Yeah.
and kind of like start to look at themselves in a different way. Like if you went back like 10 years ago, people just look at celebrities and models, and now they're now looking up people like myself, like yourself, and kind of who are prepared to speak out on certain topics, and then looking at them and be like, oh my gosh, like she's really inspiring, rather than look and like, but it's also like obtainable as inspiration, rather than something that is not obtainable. You're like, oh, because like unfortunately people do compare themselves to others that they see visually, publicly. If they compare themselves, they shouldn't, but they do.
Yeah.
And if you're not seeing like a healthy version of yourself, it kind of it can make them feel a bit a bit shitty, you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
I
completely.
said, yeah, and I certainly felt like that. When they knocked me back all those years ago, I was like, gosh, like when I looked and I was like, yeah, there isn't really anybody that looks like me size wise and stuff like that. So I kind of just left it as that, really. But I didn't expect that,
I'm
years.
so glad that it's changed so much, and I'm so glad that it's different for you now.
Yeah,
And you've made that happen as well. That's not like an accident. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
You've
I mean,
gone out there and created that space.
I never thought that I, in terms of like, I mean, I was scouted by a modeling agency while going down the road. Like it was like totally out of the blue. But at the same time, I started the blog like literally 1 year before that incident happened. Yes, I joined the agency, but then at the same time, as you said, I'm making things happen by, doing loads of stuff, like myself as well. And, I never expected that in my 30s and now as a wheelchair user. And I'm like, hold on a minute. I'm nowhere near the size that I was when I first went to an agency. I'm not even got the same ability, and I'm certainly not the same age. like,
Yes, go
like,
Clara. I love it. I love
I'm
that
like,
though.
what the hell? So I'm like, but you know what? End of the day, it's breaking down barriers and it's kind of opening people's eyes as well. Because, when I became a wheelchair user, when I tried to look for someone that I could even relate to, I couldn't find anyone. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to create the blog in the first place. People were like, do you blog? And I was like, no, I don't blog. And they were like, you should. Like, because like my sister or my cousin or, somebody, if they saw this, then, because, my sister's now a wheelchair user, she doesn't leave the house. And here's you on this Caribbean cruise in your bikini, sipping cocktails, living life. I'm like,
I love it.
like, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna next time I'm gonna get her to come because she just thinks, oh, she can't go anywhere and she can't travel, she can't do this and she can't do that. So, I was like, oh, okay. And it's just like just talking to other people and yeah, a cruise ship is so accessible. Like you can go everywhere on a cruise ship. It's like a moving hotel, just that it goes from one place to the next. It's perfect for wheelchair users. It's such a good way to travel and see the world. And but it's just a shame that one, people automatically think cruises are for elderly people,
Yeah.
and it's a mixture of people. And
Right.
as I said, it's a great way to see places. Nowhere's really off limits. So
Yeah.
yeah, so with that, I was like, yeah. So when the sun was setting that day, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And, it just kind of helps, the two together, like, the modeling and the blogging, like, it's just like, it works hand in hand. It,
Yeah.
it literally is
Completely.
just like marries together so nicely. And,
Yeah.
opportunity, like when I met you, a few years ago, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to jump around my questions a bit, but like, I mean, like full disclosure to everyone watching. So you came to one of my show at Fashion Scout,
Yeah,
and I like from that moment that I saw you, I really wanted to work with you. We still haven't actually
yeah,
worked together yet,
yes,
but
yes.
yeah, I really wanted to happen. But one of the things that actually did happen to me following that show was that I had such an intense year of work up until the point of that show,
Yeah.
and then it was for several months after that show, I had this sort of pain problem that I experienced this, and temporary. I mean, I'll make it very clear, very temporary, not like anything like the same as what you experienced, but it did make it hard for me to walk just for a few months. And it gave me this, it just opened my eyes in a much bigger way than just
Mm.
conversation as to how hard it is to get around London actually. Like it's really, there really aren't as many stations or places as there should be that are accessible enough. And it really like blew my mind, like how much harder it was than I like thought it was. And
Yeah.
I was just using a stick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think until people sometimes actually really experience that kind of challenge for themselves, it's you really can't imagine like how hard it can be to get around London.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't, as you said, there's not many stations, especially tube stations, that are accessible. There's quite a few. There seems to be more in East London because a lot of that East London is new.
Yeah.
The stations that is, and then you've got the DLR. But I live in West London. I live in Notting Hill, and there isn't an accessible station that's near me. I think the nearest one, there's one at Westfield, which is the White City line, but then where are you going to get off? Half the time, where you want to get off?
Exactly.
It means that you take like a black taxi majority of the time everywhere, because like if you want to get from one part to another, you will end up taking sometimes like 4 or 5 different buses. It's just not all the time that works. And then you've got like, you know, there might be, you know, a couple of push chairs, and even though they say that, you know, a priority, they're meant to pull them down, sometimes they don't. So you're waiting for buses and you can't get on any of them. It is quite difficult.
It is, and I think that like as well, like as at the same time as the industry is starting to like you know include more people, I also think that people in the industry need to be aware that of the challenges that models who are wheelchair users or do have those challenges face, like that's something people need to think about, so that you don't just sort of treat models, because it's like whilst we want equality, we also don't want to treat people in a way that's unfair.
Yeah, and we want equality, but at the same time you also want acknowledgement that
Yeah.
it may be a bit different, and then there may be things that needs to be put in place. I mean, to be fair, like, you know, if you're gonna ask some like a model who is, you know, a wheelchair user, they will tell you what they need. You just need to ask, and don't think that you're being rude by asking what is it that you need. You know, at the same time, give the model an opportunity. Just give them the model an opportunity to vocalize their needs. That's all it is. It literally is just as simple as that. You know, first thing I'm going to say, is there accessible access, as in no steps? You know, the amount of times people say like there's no, oh yeah, it's on the ground floor. Okay, but is it step free? And then they're like, oh, actually, there's a step outside. I didn't even notice, because you don't. You just go in and you don't notice that you actually went up a step to get inside. It might be one step, but one step is still one step, you know. Or when you get in, it's actually a split level floor, and there's a step down kind of thing. So, you know, it's like little things like that. Like, is there a ramp to access? Sometimes I have to say ramp to access, and then and a disabled toilet. Oh, the toilet's on the ground floor, but is it a disabled toilet? Because obviously I'm not going to get in to like a normal kind of toilet, because it's narrower, like it's pretty much the same width of my chair. So,
Exactly.
like, and then the door opens inwards, that means I can't shut the door behind me, and you know, so there's like, and then they're like, oh, I didn't realize, you know, kind of thing. And they kind of, you know, but to be fair, like in terms of like where I met you down at the Freemasons house, hall, that, you know, that was accessible. They had like access that I can get in and get out, which, you know, some other people didn't even realize. You know, I've only been to one show where the entrance was a problem.
Right.
So all the rest of the shows that I've been to, entrance wise, it worked fine. So we're just if I could go and view it, you can certainly get a model to model in it.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to ask you, because I'm going to scroll back a bit, is do you have any particular style icons like that, or people like sort of that you, because you're saying, I know that you didn't see like yourself represented, but are there any sort of people who are stylish, whether they're well known or not? Like,
Yeah.
are there any people whose style that you really loved?
Um, this is going to be very higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, for example, I like like Beyonce. I like her, like, she's quite classic, especially when it comes to her evening wear. But at the same time, she's willing to push that boundary, and I like that. You know, is that kind of classy, chic, but at the same time push the boundary a little bit. And it's the same with Rihanna. They like she does it as well. She does it so well, but it's
Yeah.
like effortless. That kind of effortlessly kind of when she wants to go glam and she wants to go chic, like she can, like she's there. But then at the same time, when she's just like, you know,
She can also let it all hang out in the
yeah,
most fabulous way.
yeah, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I like that as well. That kind of like, I think me and her are quite similar in some ways, in the sense that, like I would just like, oh yeah, I just grab that, I grab that. Like sometimes, literally, most of the time, no thought went into what I'm wearing. I just like that put that on, done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I actually look quite cute, you know. Right.
I love that.
You know, people are like, oh, you really made an effort. I said, I really didn't. Like, you know, you know. So,
But that's that instinct for it. That's that
yeah,
sort of instinctual eye.
yeah, and I think that also comes down to the love of fashion, like knowing colors and textures, and because like liking fashion is not just like viewing it. It's not just about, oh, I like the look of this, or you know, it's about knowing fashion as well. Like it's knowing it. It's knowing like, oh, that texture, you know, mixture of textures, mix of shades. You know, there's more to just fashion than like, oh yeah, that's a nice outfit. I'm fashionable. I'm gonna wear designer brands, because you can wear like something that's not designer, something that's cheap, and yet you can make it look expensive. I'm a
Yeah.
believer that fashion should not wear you. You should wear it. Like you make it stylish. You know, like clothes are not made stylish, because you could put something on something and it doesn't work, but you know, you make the style, you make something look stylish. It's also about the attitude with it as well, like how you bring it, how you wear it. I think there's a lot more, you know, people just look at clothing like and just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a bunch of like designer names, and it like that doesn't make you stylish. Like it's how you put it together that makes you stylish. So yeah, I like fashion. I've always loved fashion, but another person that I really like in terms of fashion is Nicki Minaj, because
Oh yes.
again pushing that like that boundary of, you know, like creativity as well. I like um I like her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then
I love that your logo shows you in a wheelchair but wearing high heels,
that's me.
and yeah, I love that so much. And I love that it's sort of it sort of, to me, what it says is like that it's, you know, fashion is about adornment, and fashion is about decoration and embellishment. And you know, like a high heel isn't a high heel doesn't have to look like a high heel for you to be able to use it as a shoe. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? It
yeah,
doesn't, you know. And so, and I really like the idea that instead of being like, oh well, if someone, you know, I just think like it really breaks down that whole sort of way that maybe people have not really like given enough uh, you know, just sort of like not seen people, or not like, you know, seen someone who's using a wheelchair as someone who's adorning themselves. And
yeah.
I really like that you're just from like immediately from your logo, you know that you are completely like subverting that.
Yeah, I mean that was
And
kind of always my aim as well. Like just to kind of chart who I am. And it was always about sharing. Like it's who I am, and it's very you know, this is me. This isn't like just for show. And then afterwards, like I'm like, You know, like this is who I am. I love my heels. I have well over 100 pairs of heels.
Yes, amazing.
I've only got two trainers. Like, one I wear to the gym, and one I got given only like a few weeks ago. And even that's quite snazzy. It ain't like a basic trainer.
Yeah.
You know, like heels. I even like around the house. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm fed with this because I'm putting on heels.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that so
especially
much.
like during lockdown, like so all this slipper stuff is no, like so I've got some mules just to wear around the house.
I love that. I love that. That's a real like enjoyment and love of fashion that's like really it's about a deep personal style, and I love
Yeah,
that that is who you are.
yeah.
Um so when you are modeling, because you've started you after beginning the blog, you did get signed as a model, and you're with Zebedee Management.
That's correct.
Um, and they work with a lot of people who have some like kind of disability or are wheelchair users.
Hmm.
And do you think that would you like to see you know agencies have much more diverse people, or do you think that is makes their life different?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly, I think it's a good idea. And at the time when when I was signed to them, it did make me have more confidence about myself because I knew that I was being represented by somebody that have a bit more that can understand me. So that does give you that air of confidence, and you know that they're gonna, that when it comes to castings and stuff, you know that they're gonna be able to cast and make sure that the place is wheelchair suitable and stuff like that. So in that sense, yeah, most definitely, I think it's a great starter to. Do I feel like traditional? It's a shame that we have to have one that is separate.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if like other modeling agencies maybe have just like how they may have tall models or shorter models or plus size models. I don't see why they can't have models with disabilities, or even wheelchair users or whatever the category they want to call it. But I don't see why
Yeah,
they can't have a few models on their books. Um, that can look after like someone like myself. Basically,
absolutely.
I think it's a good idea, and I think that would also be a good way of integration into the fashion as well, and it does not just seen as like a specialist. But at the same time, you do have people with conditions that would need that kind of specialist agency to look after their those models and make sure that they are getting the right needs and they can articulate to them exactly what their needs are. So I
Yeah.
think there's definitely a space for both. Yeah.
Yeah, a space for both, and also perhaps um, a sort of space for agencies who are specialists to maybe become, from a business way of thinking about it, for maybe those agencies, it would be great if the bigger agencies like the IMGs of this world
Mm.
would sort of respectfully absorb them or buy them or like make them
Yeah.
merge with them, or
Yeah.
get them on board to like help them who are
Yeah.
meant to be the best. That's the thing I always think that's interesting about some of the big players in the industry is they proclaim how great they are. They're like, we're so and so, we're fantastic, look at us, we have X, Y, and Z famous model. But then, if they're meant to be the best and the leaders in the industry, how
Yeah.
come they haven't, found a way to do that yet? And so I sort of think if we all, as designers and activists or models or bloggers, can maybe like approach people in the industry more like saying, if you guys are meant to be so great, how come you haven't found the way to do this yet?
Yeah.
Because we should be like, I feel not just you, but like everyone should be encouraging that. I hope.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm hoping, I think like the tables are definitely turning, and I think we while we're in this lockdown as well. It depends on how things are going to be when we come out of
Yeah.
it. I certainly think that there's an element, I'm hoping there's an element of change on so many different levels. I do think that 2020 is like the year of the big change. You know, whether it's diversity in, you know, society and, you know, with Black Lives Matter and everything like that, as well as in the fashion industry and be more inclusive. You know, it's gone, you know, it's done digital shows, you know, just the other day for London Fashion Week and London Fashion Week Men's, and merging the two together so it's more gender fluid, etc., etc. So I think that there are certainly some more steps that's been made. It'd be interesting to see how things go on for future. I hope they're not all going to be digital, I'm not going to lie, because I miss those. I like sitting on the phone.
Yes, exactly. We all missed being together and being a community and loving the
family and so and you know, like the whole vibe is just so lovely at London Fashion Week. Everyone's just kind of vibing together. We're all there for a common cause, and you know, so it's like it's like one big family, and it's really nice because there are people that I literally only see at London Fashion Week, you know, and it feels like and then you catch up, and it's like you've not, even though you've not seen them for like 6 months, it doesn't feel like it, you know. So that's kind of cool. But I do feel like over this period, like with a lot of brands having to rely on like influencers like myself to kind of content creators and stuff like that to kind of like push their, you know, stuff out there. You know, they quickly got the loungewear out, you know, like it's like, oh my gosh, people could be out, people want to want loungewear, and like people are now getting fed for loungewear, they want clothes, but clothes that they can move up around, you know. So it's like I've been so busy, like just continuously doing stuff like all the time. So but yeah, kind of just like pushing that out there and as well. So yeah, I think you know, while they've not able to open their stores and they've had to rely on us to advertise, you know, it'd be interesting to see how it goes, you know, goes forward, because at the same time people still want to see diversity, and I think quite a few brands during this moment have seen that, and they've seen the impact of that on, you know, seeing it online and making sure that you know, going forward it'll be like that, it continues, you know. That's I'm hoping, and I will be well, not just hoping, but I'll be, you know,
praying as well.
And making sure I'm doing my bit to kind of help, you know, kind of bridge the gap. You know, like for me, it's always been like just trying to, like for me, I'm like a bit of a campaigner, but it's like a way of you can campaign. So my campaign is through being visual, being present, being there, you know. So like, you know, amazing photos, a snappy caption, you know, like that can even inspire you, draw you, make you think, make you have a laugh, you know, whatever it may be. But at the same time, like, I'm showing you this is what I can do, you know. It's like, you know, don't rule me out just because of the chair, like, kind of thing. So it's, you know, kind of that in itself, I think, you know, brands have seen that and been like, oh wow, like, you know, we want to work with you. So yeah, it can only, you know, we can only get better, I think. And
I definitely hope so.
And people are screaming out for diversity, and you know, they see me. I'm very much about body positivity and embracing who you are. You can see that because I'm embracing the fact that I'm in a chair. I'm embracing the curves that the chair has gave me. And, you know, I'm dressing for it. I'm kind of bringing it on. I'm showing it off. You know, like
I love it. I love it. And honestly, it was like from the second like I saw you, I was just like, who is she? She's fabulous. I love her. Like, she's so fabulous. And you know, and I think that I really hope that, like, now I finally hope that this year we'll hopefully get the chance to work together very soon.
Yeah,
that would be so good.
I'm sorry, I keep looking at that thing just behind you, like
that's what I'm hoping.
Like, over, I was thinking, oh, I can imagine that over something like.
Let's make it happen.
Yes.
And that's another well, there's so many questions, I'm like worried we'll run out of time because we actually only have another 20 minutes, but well, let's briefly do some quick fire-ish ones.
Okay.
Do you have a spiritual practice, and what do you think can be gained from the practice of gratitude and prayer?
I pray. I pray in the morning. You know, thank God I'm woken up. You know, when something good happens, I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. I think it also keeps you humble as well. And you kind of like, me personally, I don't feel like I've done this on my own. I always feel like, there's like some kind of guidance there. I listen to my gut. I listen to the instincts. I listen to the vibrations around me. Now, whether you're religious or just spirit, or not, and you're, because some people are not religious, but
Absolutely,
they're quite
yeah.
spiritual. Like, they kind of work from the moon, and all different things. Like, so I personally think that you have to listen to your spiritual awareness, and it will guide you. So yes, I am very I would say I'm spiritual, and I would say I'm religious, because I do believe in God, and I do pray, and I do think it's important to do that as well, and kind of just acknowledge that it's not you on your own. Faith is a powerful tool. If you have faith, you can achieve everything. If you feel like, I can do this,
Yeah,
that is faith. That's faith that you
yeah,
can do that. There's a belief that you can do something, and when you believe, you achieve. We say it all the time, but it's so true.
yeah,
But then at the same time, you also know that if you say something negative about yourself, that negativity about yourself can also come true. So
yeah,
always speak positive about yourself. Look at yourself in a positive light. Never, never, ever, ever like have a negative word said against yourself. Do not say it. Don't say it against others, and don't say to yourself about you. You always try and remain and have a positive internal dialogue with yourself. It is so important.
yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. I think it's really interesting because I'm Jewish, and I do wake up and I do pray as well. And I absolutely understand that many people, especially in the sort of more arty fashion side of things, might not share that. But at the same time, I'm never, it's like, I never feel like, oh, if you have, it's not believing in God that makes the difference. It's just allowing, because there's, like, I know what you mean about faith. It's like, I definitely feel that those are the things that I also get from faith, but then I also feel like all of that is completely accessible to people who don't believe in God as well.
Oh gosh,
But
yeah, definitely, yeah,
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 and
yeah.
I think, and that's why I often talk about, like, that from my perspective, I want fashion to be something, or clothing, or the things I make to be something that people like get like power from, even though they're quite sexual things. I think I want people to feel like this is something that makes me feel better, and it's not something that makes me feel worse. And I also think it's like, and also that's why I talk about like harnessing that inner warrior deity power. And and like you said, it's like listening to the muses, the vibrations around you. I love all the words you use, because I really like relate to that way of feeling. What do you and aside from, the sort of speaking to the universe, prayer, whatever, however we want to describe that
Mm.
aspect of that, what else do you do to like harness that inner strength and power?
Um, as I said, like, I'm always grateful for anything I achieve. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And be grateful for things. I think gratitude is such a huge, like, part of anything. Like, you should do, like, don't get cocky. Like,
Yeah,
get cocky. Because there's as much as it can come, it can just as go.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
so don't get cocky. But at the same time, yeah, I think, again, I just like, just kind of like listening to yourself, and just kind of knowing who you are, and having boundaries, and writing a list. Work through your list. I like to write a list, sometimes mentally, sometimes I literally write a list of things I want to
Yeah,
achieve, and I pick it off. Set yourself targets and goals, and work to them. It doesn't matter if you set a goal, and I said, well, by the end of June I want to do this and this, but you've only done 3 out of the 4 things you might have done. That's okay. You could just take it over into July, and
yeah,
that could be July. That could also be on July's, target kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes our goals take longer to achieve, but at the same time, as long as you have a goal,
Yeah.
It's great, you know. It's like
Yeah.
today my post today, I said green is for go. You know, because I had a green dress on and I was just like, oh, it just kept on ringing to me, go, go, green is for go. You know, like, you know, go for the dreams that you want, you know, go for your heart's desires, you know, like, just go.
Yeah, I love
Just go
that.
do it. Just go do it. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a new week. Just go do it. You know, you might have had a goal that, okay, by the end of, say for example, you might have said by Friday I want to do this, and then Monday's come and you've not been able to do it. That's okay. You know, set that goal. Just go and do it today. Go and set that goal today. You know, it's fine. Like, doesn't some people kind of like they set a goal and then they're like, oh, I didn't reach that goal, and they get downhearted. It doesn't matter. You know, just the mere fact you had a goal in the first place is great, and
Yeah.
just kind of go for it.
Yeah, that's great
Yeah,
advice. I absolutely
yeah,
love that. I also share your enthusiasm for not eating meat and eating a plant-based diet.
yeah.
Although I have to like fully just full confession, I definitely do eat fish occasionally. But
Okay.
yes, I admit it. I'm a pescatarian.
Oh, to your
But
pescatarian. Part-time
but
vegan.
what sorry, what like drew you towards becoming vegan and because you have a real love of vegan cuisine, and also what vegan restaurants are you most looking forward to returning to?
So, so I became vegan 5 years ago, and I would say the reason why I say vegan and not plant based is because I don't wear leather, I don't wear silk, I don't wear wool, so I'm definitely on that sense I am vegan.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, so yeah. Um, yeah, before that I was vegetarian, and I was vegetarian for 17 years. So it's been a long time since I ate
Wow.
any meat or fish. You know, it was just dairy and eggs. So for me, giving up dairy and eggs, it wasn't such a hard chore. Giving up
Yeah.
giving up dairy and eggs, it wasn't the only. Actually, the hardest thing I found was finding cheese that I actually like the flavor. But I've got a few brands that I know, like I've
Oh
got,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, you know, I've got this vegan equivalent to parmesan. If you're doing a little pasta, it's so just like parmesan. It's very pongy, you know, it's very strong in flavor. So that's quite a good. And also, I think the best thing to do is just not. If you're going to immediately go vegan and you like cheese, just try not to eat it. Want to try and find a replacement for cheese straight away. Leave it a month, maybe 2 months. Let your taste, because your taste buds are going to change in a way, because you're eating a lot more fresher foods, especially if you're more eating a lot more whole foods as well. So your taste buds needs to adjust. You need to get used to the fact that you're not eating as much salt, because cheese has a lot of salt in it. So kind of just get your taste buds adjust, and once they've adjusted, then try different ones, and then you will find one that you like. I've found this. Yeah, there's a couple of brands that are out there that I like, and there's like new brands all the time coming out now as well. So, but yeah, yeah, it's definitely something that I personally recommend. I feel so much more energized and less lethargic, and you know, just, you know, my recovery times are just like a lot quicker as well than before. So I definitely saw the benefits, and I realized that this was me. I'm also gluten free, and I cut out gluten because when you're having joint pain, consuming gluten actually it encourages flare ups, and you have longer flare ups. So that's another thing I noticed, which is why I also cut out gluten. So I'm gluten free as well as being vegan. That's the difficult part. Because
Yeah.
if you're eating something that is like pre-made, like for example, like a dish, a lot of the time they do have wheat or something in it. So, but in terms of restaurants, I'm looking forward to. Do you know what? One of my favorite, I have a top three. But one of my top three is Pharmacy. It's on Westbourne Grove. I love Pharmacy. I actually ordered a takeaway delivery from there like 2 weeks ago. It was
Oh,
so,
amazing. They've got takeaway.
yes, they're doing a
Oh,
delivery
so
service.
good.
Yeah, which they never used to do before, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they continue doing it, because I think it's just a brilliant idea. So yeah, so I had that. And then there's also what's the other one I was looking forward to? Oh, Vegan Express. Like I'm looking forward to like that's down in Putney kind of area. And that's kind of cool. Like they do some really good food there as well. They do like a vegan fish and chips. Oh,
Oh, amazing.
so
So
cool.
good.
Yeah.
That's what I need so I can stop eating fish.
Yeah. Oh, you have to try it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I'll definitely recommend it. And then there's oh god, I forgot his name now. It's in King's Cross. I've been there a few times. There's one in King's
Oh, I
Cross.
know the one you mean
Uh,
as well. And I
yeah,
cannot
there's one
think
in
of it.
Camden. There's one in King's Cross. There's one in Hackney. Yeah, I always go to
We'll
one.
find the link and put it in the show
Yeah, yeah.
notes.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward. Yeah, just like eating out at a nice vegan like restaurant. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
And that's another area where I feel like the world has definitely improved a lot in that there is now a lot more vegan food available. There's a lot more restaurants that have vegan food, but and what I hope even more is that there are even more restaurants that have all of those things and are accessible.
Yes.
Yeah,
That could sometimes that's the problem. Like sometimes it's not like, oh, this vegan restaurant's nice, you can get in, but there's no toilet, there's no disabled toilet or something like that, and you're like, oh man, you know, kind of thing. Or sometimes they're little cafes rather than restaurants as well.
yeah,
There needs to be a bit more like high end cafes,
yeah,
high restaurants, sorry.
yeah,
That, you know, like sometimes you want a slap up meal, you know, pour something really nice, but you want to go to a vegan place, you know. So
yeah.
it'd be just nice to have like a little bit. I know there's a couple in town, but they're not accessible, so we're not going to mention them. Um,
If you haven't got the solution, you're not getting mentioned.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Don't give airtime to people who aren't, making it happen.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why that pharmacy is my favorite, because it's in really distance from my house. At the same time, it's totally accessible. It's got disabled toilet, and they do everything there is vegan, it's organic, and like they do amazing service. So
Yeah, the dream. What more can you ask for?
exactly.
And what are some of your favorite like travel destinations that you've been to so far? And also, I'm very aware that we have 7 minutes, but what
Yeah.
travel destinations have you loved the most so far? And also, where are you looking forward to going in the future? Hopefully, once we again.
So I was meant to go to a trip back to Jamaica, which is with my family and family. I was meant to go there on a holiday. Obviously that got cancelled. That was at the end of April, beginning of May. That got cancelled. So it's been rebooked for next March. So whether or not we'll get out anywhere before then, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's definitely the next place. Plus, like after all of this, like I want a couple of weeks, not only just like in Jamaica, kind of like with my people, kind of thing.
Oh, I completely understand.
And, you know, being able to see like some family members. Oh my goodness, we've made this food. We made it through this, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
relate.
So it'd be like eat some kind of soul food, you know, just kind of eat some food and get back to like, okay, we're here.
Yes.
I can regroup, you know, kind of like mentally, emotionally, and kind of start afresh. I was also meant to go on a Mediterranean cruise next month, but obviously that's cancelled, so that's been postponed till next year summer as well. So yeah, we're just gonna. It's my birthday next month, so it was meant to be for my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's a big one. It's a big birthday, so I was just like, oh my goodness, like. But I'm still got hope that we might try and get us somewhere. Get us somewhere. Things are starting to open up. The countries are saying that they would accept us. So I'm like, can we? You know,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
We will see. I really again relate like so much because in April we were meant to go to Boston, where my family is from, for Passover, and then next week we were meant to also be in Massachusetts, like to like be with family and do family stuff. And I completely, it's like, I mean, I was born here and I grew up here, but like there's this other feeling that I get from like going to Massachusetts that
Yeah.
it's not, it's like, because it's like where my family is from, so it's like the home away from home, And
Yeah.
yeah, and that, and definitely a lot, there have been a lot of moments during this whole lockdown period where it's just like, um you know, breathe and like know that we'll get through this hopefully, and we'll all be together again, and like a lot
Yeah.
of those feelings as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, family, I think, yeah, it's definitely one of those probably ones that I would probably want to go, like you, as you said, like you want to go kind of like soon as if you can. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, I was like, I don't know, I'm looking at all sorts. I was looking at, I said, oh, maybe Portugal, but I've really done Portugal, so it's like, do I want to, you know, I'm not much of a repeat travel. Like, the only place I repeatedly travel to is
Yeah.
Jamaica, because obviously that's my roots, so therefore that's my. But generally, I like to go somewhere different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was saying to my boyfriend, like, maybe we should do like Ibiza or something, or like just like somewhere I've not been before, like.
Somewhere different, yeah, just keep exploring. And I love
Yeah,
that passion you have for always looking for the next thing like in place to explore. I think that's so great, because
yeah,
that's the kind of energy that is like throughout everything that you do.
yeah. No, definitely. I'm very adventurous. I'm like, I will try anything. Me, as long as it's like is accessible. Can I get in there? Can I get on there? Can I? There must be a way around it somehow.
Yes, that's so great. And
Yeah,
like, I hope that, you know, and I think it's so important for the world to respond by making it possible, and by like realizing that we have to make it possible if we like being in a society where it's important.
yeah, definitely, definitely. That's
Yeah.
so important. But yeah, I think, like I always say, life is for living. You're a long time dead when you are dead. So therefore, go get it. Go get it.
Yes.
Like, this is not, as we say, this is not a rehearsal. This is the main play. You
Event.
don't, the main event. You don't get
Yeah,
to do this over again. So, like,
absolutely.
you don't want to get to your elderly years and ask, oh, why did I not do this? Why? You don't want to ask those questions to yourself.
No.
Um,
We have 1 minute 30
oh,
remaining.
oh my goodness.
So I
Okay.
just love that everything you've just said. It's absolutely true, and such great inspiring words to start the week on. And it's been just a total delight to have this conversation with you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much
Clara.
for inviting me. That it's like, I was like, yeah, of course I'll do it. Thank you so much. This has
Thank
been a
you.
great day. This has been a great day.
Oh, thank you. This has been gorgeous. Have a gorgeous evening, lovely. And everyone
You too.
who's watching, I hope that you guys will go visit rollinfunkyblog.com, and please tune in again at 7 when I'll be chatting with Emily.
I will.
Thank you, lovely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been just like a
It's been
true
joy.
joy and a delight.
Take care and have a great week.
You too.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care.
Bye.
Bye.